According to M&M Candy Company, the expected proportion of M&Ms for each color can be found in the table. So there's the expected proportions: 24% blue, 13% brown, etc. At the 5% level, do the observed frequencies support the claim of M&Ms? Okay, so this is no longer a association independence test. This is a goodness of fit test because we have all of the expected frequencies. So we're going to have to go stat edit, and let's enter in what we know. So what do I have? I've got 481. Whoops. Stat edit. So 481, 371, 483, 544, 372, and 369. Okay, so I'm going to do this one out completely by hand using all the lists because some of your calculators won't do the goodness of fit test, even though this one will. So we'll just do this all by hand. So now I've got my proportions. So my proportions are 24%, 13%, 16%, 20, 13, and 14. Okay. So here's my observed counts. Now I need my expected counts. So I'm going to need to know how many of these there are. So it says there's a total of 2,620 of them. So I'm going to take this list 2 and I'm going to multiply it by the total count, 2,620. So there is my expected counts. Notice that, 41 seems to be kind of a long way away. 371 is pretty close. That one's, pretty close, fairly close. So it looks like maybe I've got a bit of underrepresentation of blue, but the rest of them look like maybe they're fairly close. All right, so there's my observed, there's my expected. So now we're just going to go ahead and do the whole formula. We're going to go observed, list 1, minus expected, list 3. We're going to square that, and then we're going to divide by the expected, list 3. So these are all my chi-square values. Notice that one right there is big, right? It's definitely much different than what was expected. So now we're going to add them up. Math sum, and that was in list, whoops, got to get out of here. We're going to go list math sum, and that was list 4. So there's my chi-square number. So let's see. Our chi-square number is 50.83. And I didn't write my null, so let's do all that. So our null is that the proportions match the given by M&M. The alternative would be at least one proportion differs from the rest, or from the given. All right, so again, we have to have an independent simple random sample, and no more than 20% of our expected counts can be less than 5, and obviously our expected counts were very large, so our sample size is plenty big. All right, so there's our chi-square number. So we're going to say the probability that our chi-square value is as big as 50.83 is approximately, and we're going to have to figure that out. And we need to know how many degrees of freedom we have. Well, in a goodness of fit test, you have one less degree of freedom than you have categories. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories. So therefore we have 5 degrees of freedom. So then we're just going to go to distribution, chi-square CDF, and we're going to go from 50.83 up to infinity, given, what did I say, 5 degrees of freedom? And we have 9.3 times 10 to the negative 10th. So 9.3 times 10 to the negative 10th, which is approximately 0. So we have strong evidence that the frequencies do not match. The given values. There you go.